Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Moving the Chains here on Team NBS Media. We have got some exciting matchups to go through, and I cannot believe we're down to our last four teams. We are one weekend away from the Super Bowl. It just feels like time is going by so quickly. But either way, I'm glad to have Greg and Jeff and Thomas here running it back. Jeff is back. Yay. It's been a while.
I got to get on the road this time of year. So, unfortunately, I'm going to miss some NFL stuff. But like the Terminator, I'll be back.
How's everyone doing? Are you excited, Thomas?
I am, man. The day is finally upon us. Like, I've been waiting on it all week. I can't wait, man. I really can't.
Because you're nervous or because you're excited?
Both. You got to remember, just this time last year, we were packing up our bags because we got beat by Tampa. And then the year before that, we went to the Super Bowl and we lost to Kansas City. So the fact that we're having the night and day response in the midst of the last 2 years in my lifetime, it's kind of threw me for a loop. Yeah. We're here now, so I'm excited.
Yeah, I feel that. All right, we're going to go in reverse order because Jeff has some exciting breakdowns to do for the NFC. So we're going to kick it off with the AFC first. We've got Josh Allen heading to Arrowhead for his fourth time in the postseason, just looking for the chance to take over, honestly. I mean, they won in the regular season. It was the talk of the town, handing the Chiefs their first loss. And the Chiefs, obviously, this season just felt like it was too good to be true for them. I don't know if you guys agree. It just felt like everything was just falling in their favor. The block punt against the Broncos, like just too many things were going well for the Chiefs. So first of all, I just want to hear straight up who your predictions are first, just before we give any breakdowns. So I want to hear that just because I feel like at this point, we're just predicting who we believe belongs in the Super Bowl. So Jeff, who do you think belongs in the Super Bowl first from the AFC?
Listen, it's hard not to make a case for the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, they have not been the most flashy team this season. We've seen it time and time again. The wins that they've had, some of them been by good fortune, some just by being good. But when you're watching the playoffs, this team doesn't win the way they win in the regular season. In the regular season, they find every way, they scratch, they claw. But they are very good come playoff time. Whatever things are that need to be buttoned up come playoff time, they find a way to button it up. Last year, the receivers were dropping balls. They were underperforming. Come playoff time last year, those receivers were making plays. Travis Kelce this year, during the regular season, didn't exactly have a lot of the Travis Kelce moments. Looked good in the playoffs so far. So I think what you're starting to see is the Chiefs starting to do what they always do, metamorphosis into that playoff team that they've been. This Bills team is a different animal than they faced in the past because they're doing the same thing. They're finding ways to improve in ways that they didn't during the regular season. It's going to be a tough matchup, but I think Kansas City pulls it out.
Ooh, okay. All right, Greg, what about you?
I'm going the opposite direction.
Hell yeah.
The Bills end this three-peat run of the Chiefs because Josh Allen is not being Josh Allen of old. He has gotten away from doing the superstar things. And I think that this Bills team has enough talent on their offense to frustrate this Kansas City defense. So that's why I'm picking the Bills.
I love that. All right, Thomas.
I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all gotta forgive me. I am a sucker for history. I just am. All right. In the history of the National Football League, there has never been a team who has won back-to-back Super Bowls to go to the AFC Championship, let alone go to the Super Bowl. The fact that Kansas City has an opportunity to go for a three-peat, and I get to witness it during my lifetime, would be pretty cool. I know that is a hot take to say, but I personally would love to see Kansas City in the Super Bowl because I think a lot of people have a tendency to like act like this is like supposed to be a given that the Kansas City Chiefs are supposed to be in the Super Bowl year in and year out. They're supposed to be an AFC Championship game year in and year out. This is how it's supposed to be. They're supposed to win 15 games a year. They're supposed to do this. They're supposed to do that. Guys, there are certain legendary teams that haven't been able to do what they've been doing during the Mahomes era. Literally. So it's going to be a toss-up game for sure, but I'm gonna give the edge to Kansas City. It's in Arrowhead. Mahomes might pull something out of his tail. Travis Kelce may have another great playoff performance because apparently, for whatever reason, when it comes to the playoffs, everybody acts like they don't know how to guard Travis Kelce. But yeah, give me the edge to Kansas City. I just love to see history. If I'm wrong and I end up seeing Buffalo, that's fine. That's totally fine.
I don't want to see history. If you've been watching this show all season.
Yeah,
stick with me.
I'm riding with the Bills all day. It's a straight shot.
It's funny that it's taken this long for a team to possibly three-peat make it to the AFC title game. In the NFC, it's happened several times, right? We've seen San Francisco off of back-to-back Super Bowls. They have a chance to go back for the three-peat. They lose to the Giants. The Cowboys win back-to-back Super Bowls, have a chance to three-peat, lose to the 49ers, only to come back and win the next year. But they had a chance for the three-peat. So I think when you look at it, this is the first time it's happened. It's the Chiefs, not the Patriots of all people who had that chance. But nevertheless, I think this team, once again, they just have a championship mindset. They have championship execution. Come playoff time, the Bills, they're trying to find that championship mindset because they've never done it yet, right? They've always come into the playoffs, they've won, but they haven't gotten this far. This is the farthest they've gotten under Josh Allen. They haven't seen 3 straight AFC title games since Jim Kelly. All right, and the Bills, who went to 4 Super Bowls, unfortunately unsuccessful in all 4. So I think right now you're looking at a franchise that's trying to find its way and a franchise that's been there that's trying to build on their legacy. I think the one that's trying to build on its legacy is going to have one more shot at the apple. So I think this is going to be Kansas City's time once again.
Mm-hmm. Well, obviously, I'm not going to agree. And that's simply because
exactly after you
I'm never
the Raider fan and you won't let it happen. I understand.
Yeah.
I'm dying in the black and silver, man. No, I really think I said it last week that this Haley Seinfeld engagement was like a huge driving factor, and everybody laughed at me. But you know what? Somebody else said that to me yesterday. They were like, "You know why Josh Allen's going to win? Haley Seinfeld." I was like, "Oh my god!" I said the same thing on my YouTube show. So I'm not the only one that thinks that. It is a trending topic, Thomas.
You've got to be kidding me.
I know.
That's a real thing people are saying?
Yeah, not many people. I only talked to one person, but
so I'm sorry, but Taylor Swift does not guarantee the Chiefs a Super Bowl victory. Neither does Haley Stayfield guarantee I'm sorry.
I'm just gonna ride on the love story, but pun intended, because that's Taylor Swift's song. No, but I think I just think the Bills are gonna play better offensively than I think they have been, and that is because of Josh Allen. With the rest of the team, we'll see how it goes. I'm curious to hear how you guys break it down, but I definitely think Josh Allen's going to take this game into his hands and throw himself another touchdown while he rushes another one. He's going to do it all, right? So to follow up with that, I want to hear, we know the Chiefs defense is definitely top 5, top 3 right now in the finals that we're at. So what makes that Chiefs defense so difficult to overcome? And I'll kick it off with Greg.
Chiefs defense is actually everybody wants to give Chris Jones his dues, all that good sort of stuff. I look at the linebacker and Mr. Bolton. He is the key cog for the Chiefs defense. He's the guy that calls the signals out there, and he did disappoint me a couple seasons ago because he had the one great play, but he missed the interception, which would have made him the MVP of that Super Bowl for the Chiefs. But Bolton is the key cog for the Chiefs defense overall. There's going to be a time where Bolton steps up there and he stops a Pacheco run, or not Pacheco, a James Cook run. or even a Josh Allen run. And I don't think the guy gets enough credit as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, Bolton is the key for the Chiefs defense.
Okay. What about you, Jeff? I see you nodding your head.
Yeah, listen, it's a great example, but it's not just Nick Bolton. It's him and Drew Tranquil together. Both of those guys together are a very good tandem. And one thing you need with linebacker play is good tandems, right? Especially now in the day and age where you're running sub packages, you only have 2 linebackers on the field most of the time. They have to play in tandem. When you were a 4-3 team, you could get away with it because you had 3 of those guys. You were a 3-4 team, you had 4 of those guys. So now that you're playing these sub packages, you have to have a really good tandem of linebackers that work off each other. Because when it comes to run fits, they have to work as a tandem. One has to force the action, one has to fill off of the force. All right. So you don't have a force fill spill anymore with 3 linebackers. Now you just have a force and a fill, and now there's a safety or a nickel back that's covering your spill. So when it comes to that, you have to have a tandem of linebackers. You're seeing that in a lot of defenses where they play good one week, the next week they don't, because they don't have a good tandem of linebackers. They'll have guys that play well against one team because they understand the scheme they're seeing. The next week they don't understand it. One's able to be there, the other one can't cover his partner. So I think what you're seeing now is that Kansas City has a good tandem of linebackers with Bolton and Tranquil. When those 2 guys are together, that defense is different. But when one of them is off the field, you see the fall off.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, Thomas, I'll let you round it out.
I appreciate the love to the veterans. I do. But I think what makes this Chiefs defense as potent as it's been for not just this year, but last year as well, is how does Trent McDuffie as a corner for your team sound? How does George Karlaftis, who's on the other side of Chris Jones, sound to you? Like, these guys, they don't get touted in the same conversation as Chris Jones, but I just think that they really find a way week in and week out to be very, very productive. I just saw George Karlaftis last week get 3 sacks, 2 of them on like back-to-back plays late in the 4th quarter. Like, that was all him, you know? I think the pressure that he generates is an issue, which leaves for it. Like, we see all these clips about how Jones is able to move around on the defensive line and how he could pick different spots of the defense to where he could exploit certain blockers whenever he feels like it. He can do that because there's a guy on the other side who can create just as much damage, if not more, on a consistent basis. And that's what Karlaftis does. And then you have McDuffie, who the only reason why a lot of people don't like giving him a lot of shine is because he's not the guy that's always picking the ball off. But I'll tell you one thing for sure. Don't think that you're going to throw on him often, because it ain't happening. He has a tendency to shut down your very best wide receiver and to do it early and often. And I just think those 2 guys is kind of been the saving grace to a defense who, you know, you can make the argument that have moments, especially during this season, where it's been bend, don't break sort of thing, has that sort of feel to it. But with those 2 guys being in the fold, like, passing's a lot more difficult because you got a guy off the edge that could wreck shop by himself on top of what you already have to deal with Chris Jones. And then you have a guy who, if you want to think about throwing deep or throwing his way, it's not going to end well. So I look at those 2 guys as to why the Chiefs defense is, I mean, they're about as serious can get. They're a reason why they're a top 5 defense. And it's in large part due to those 2 guys.
All right, I'm going to run it back to you, Thomas. So last week I asked everyone who they thought was the most lethal and important player, and you could choose either side of the ball. So I'm going to run it back and ask you that same question for this matchup. Who, in your opinion, is that player?
So impact player. So this guy has an opportunity to change the game by himself.
Mm-hmm.
Oh boy. With the Chiefs and Bills game, man, there's so many people to choose from. You know what, man? This is gonna sound crazy because I feel like a lot of people has already forgotten about him. But I feel like this is a game for Isaiah Pacheco to really be effective. Now the Bills defense is very serviceable, does a very good job against the run. But we saw in a team in Baltimore last week where they do have moments where they do get gassed in the running game. And if there's one thing that I know about Kansas City is that as much as they love throwing the football with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, they love running the football, whether it's Isaiah Pacheco, whether it is Kareem Hunt. It does not matter. Samaje Perine. Perine is an underrated guy that no one talks about because he only shows up on rare third downs. But that's only because he's a pass play guy. But I say Isaiah Pacheco because he has a capability to wear you down on defense. And if he gets off, if he starts averaging 4 yards a carry, a big run here, a big run there, and they have the time of possession on their side, it could be a problem for a team in Buffalo. Because for so many years, it's always get Mahomes off the field. We don't have to worry about Mahomes being on the field. Well, the Chiefs can play keep away too. And they have a running back that's capable of doing that. So I think Isaiah Pacheco would be the guy that I would say that could be very, very dangerous in this game. Because if he gets hot, it could be a problem. Derrick Henry still messed around and almost had 100 yards last week. We cannot act like that didn't exist. So, I mean, I know it was the second half and they did a great job in the first half, but that would be the guy I would pay attention to.
All right, Greg, what about you?
Dalton Kincaid, the tight end for the Bills. I think Dalton has a huge day today.
Interesting.
And he's solid enough in the passing routes to get himself open. And I just think Dalton Kincaid has a huge day today. If you're looking at the Chiefs, I actually go Hollywood Brown.
No.
Hollywood Brown needs to step up for the Chiefs in the passing game. And if he does that, the Chiefs are going to be a lot tougher to deal with.
All right, Jeff.
Well, it's to me for the Bills, it starts with James Cook. James Cook has been the secret sauce in this playoff run. Right? You watch the games, he starts running. It allows Josh Allen to do a lot of different things, find a lot of different people. The receivers, the tight ends, all benefit from him running the football and hurting teams on the ground. It puts a lot of defenses on their heels, opens up a lot of options for this offense. So when James Cook is cooking, so are the Bills. On the opposite side, listen, get Kelce going early. He's going to open up everybody else. It makes it easier on Pacheco to run the football. It makes it easier on Patrick Mahomes to throw the football without taking a bunch of punishment. So get Kelce going early, get the ball in his hands. The Bills have traditionally struggled to stop him. So I think you got to get him going early.
Yeah. There's a lot of guys you can point to, though. Like, you can make the argument that Xavier Worthy is another guy who, I mean, I don't understand the discourse when it comes to him. Like, at the beginning of the year, we was like, oh, he's a second coming of Tyreek Hill. And it was like, around week 5, we was like, oh, he's a gadget guy. It was like, huh? What are we talking about? He's pretty good at running very fast and catching the football. Like, what are we missing here? I just think Xavier Worthy is probably another guy to me. Like if he gets the ball and he gets in space, look out. I don't know what the temperature is going to be in Kansas City, but chances are it's not going to be hot. So that's probably going to be a factor as well. So I would have Xavier Worthy, but for the Bills, yeah, Jeff said it. Having James Cook to be as dominant as he's been in his playoffs, and no one's giving him a lot of shine for it, is kind of crazy. But yeah, between those two teams, I would say probably Cook and then Worthy and Pacheco. Because if those guys get rolling, it could get very ugly really fast.
Well, it's 30 degrees in Kansas City.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
30 degrees. Oh,
Well,
okay.
we know it won't affect the Bills, right? So
Yeah, I was about to say, it won't affect them.
yeah.
Oh man, but that's the thing. When you're having to go to these places, like especially Arrowhead, you just never know. That 30 degrees, like we just mentioned, can easily feel like it's close to 18, which I mean, people will think,
But
oh,
again,
I mean,
that's
18
not going to affect the Buffalo Bills.
Yeah, no. You cannot
I
expect
just
me
hope
to
it's
play in
really
that weather.
cool there, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. 30 degrees? No. 40 degrees? No. I'm sorry. I'm a Miami guy. Just have me anywhere 70 degrees and higher, and you have a chance to get my best. I'm an anemic guy. I'm anemic. So me being out there in 18-degree weather, 30-degree weather, pass. I will pull a Devondre Campbell. I am walking out on the team. Love you. Appreciate you. Still pay me. But I will not play. I refuse.
Well, listen, I'm glad. Listen, as much as I would have loved to, when I played, to hear my name called by an NFL team, I would have been excited for all of 3 minutes when they heard Green Bay, Chicago, Minnesota, all those places, Buffalo. Yes, I've been drafted. I'm going to be a Bill. And then I would have realized how cold it was. I'm like, oh, man. And I'm a New York guy. I'm born and raised in New York. But there's a certain level of cold I'm not prepared to deal with. I've been in Chicago in the wintertime. When it never breaks 10 degrees, that's a little too cold for my bones. So I understand when these guys out there playing it, they have a lot more tools than we had when I was out playing in the cold. It was cold. You were cold. You just wore whatever you wore, and you just had to bear it for 4 hours.
Right.
But at least they have heated benches and all that other stuff we didn't have.
Well,
and the jackets.
The jackets don't help much when you're out.
Jackets don't do shit.
Only needed jackets.
You can't play in the jacket. So
Yeah.
But it's like at the draft last year when Keon Coleman was taken by Buffalo. What did Jeff and I say to each other? Well, how's he going to do come January? Because he's a Florida State kid, right? He's got to go play Buffalo in January. Yeah, that's not going to be fun for him. Except, of course, come contract season time, he'll show up then.
I mean, I hope so. I think Keon Coleman was going to be because Jeff took James Cook. I feel like James Cook was a great answer. But I feel like any wide receiver really has to give Josh Allen that impact and create the game-changing moments because, of course, Josh Allen is obviously his own impact player. That's like another answer. So one thing that I think will be the game changer for this matchup, especially for the Bills, is committing a turnover. So Kansas City has not committed a turnover in their past 8 games. And I feel like obviously that's a huge advantage. So what do you think the Bills defense, we're going to go to the other side because we already gave the Chiefs defense their flowers. What do you think the Bills defense has got to change here in order to just make that a problem? And let's go with Jeff.
You got to be ultra sticky in the secondary. You can't give Kansas City receivers space. Okay, if they get catches, it has to be a catch and immediately on the ground. You can't give these guys the opportunity. Worthy, what does he eat? Catching the ball and running away from defenders. Kelsey, catching the ball is one thing. Him catching the ball, turning and running for extra yards is another. Right? You can slow this Kansas City Chiefs offense down, holding the field goals and a lot less touchdowns and make them a lot less dangerous if you're not giving up yards after the catch. So you got to be ultra sticky in coverage. You'll make some plays on some balls in key situations to force punts. But the main thing is, even some turnovers, but the main thing is you got to be sure that when they're catching the ball, your defender is right there either on them, making a play on the ball, or making the tackle right away. You cannot give them extra yards after the catch.
Okay. I think that's very manageable. Greg, what about you?
Matt Milano has to stick everybody that he hits, and he has to go for a punch out. He has to knock a ball away from somebody. That'll be the way that you get a turnover against Kansas City, is to actually punch that ball out of their hands.
I feel like we've been seeing more of it, and I think it just like changes the entire momentum. I think the punch has really come through thanks to I'm blanking on his name right now from the 49ers.
Peanut Tillman. Chicago Bears great.
Bears. That's where the peanut punch came from is Charles Tillman.
Yes, sir. Never forget him.
All right,
Legendary.
Thomas, what are your thoughts?
I want to let the Bills defense in a little secret. You want to know why it's going to be hard to commit a turnover against Kansas City? Well, actually, it may be a blessing in disguise, okay? Hear me out. Mahomes hasn't thrown an interception since playing the Bills in Week 11.
Ooh.
I'll say it again. This guy that you are going up against this Sunday afternoon in the AFC Championship game, he has not thrown an interception since the last time y'all played. Okay? Keep that in mind. Okay? But I think as far as the defense is concerned, literally, you can only do but so much. Okay? I feel like I'm talking to a toddler right now. You can only do but so much. All we ask is that you don't shoot yourself in the foot. You want to have a chance against Kansas City? No penalties. No big plays. No silly calls going against you. You want to have a chance on defense to stop Patrick Mahomes in that offense. You want to have some 3-and-outs. Be as fundamentally and disciplined as possible to make sure everybody is where they're supposed to be. And you're fine. It doesn't guarantee that you're going to stop them from scoring. It doesn't guarantee that you're going to get a turnover off of them. It does not guarantee that. But it does give you a chance. So my best advice for the Bills defense is don't shoot yourself in the foot, and you're good. I don't know why that's rocket science for everybody else to understand, but that's literally it. You don't have any penalties, you're good.
I don't think it's rocket science. I think it's like the way the game is controlled by the Chiefs is what makes it so difficult to overcome, right? Like in the beginning, let's say the Bills have them, they don't score in the first quarter. Second quarter, it's a completely different momentum, right? Patrick Mahomes is still doing this little side dish. Travis Kelce ends up being open underneath, right? There's just like mistakes that fall through, and then it changes the momentum of the game. Also, the penalties, like you were saying, Thomas, I feel like we all see the flags fly when it's against the Chiefs. You know what I'm saying? Like we all know what we're talking about here. So I think that is also a huge disadvantage. And just playing clean football, sometimes we all think it's clean, and then there's a flag. There's just so many things that we're not able to control that go in the Chiefs' favor. And I feel like that is what really takes it home for them. Like that block punt, I'm telling you, the Denver defense played phenomenal in that matchup. But the one thing that was their disadvantage was that extra field goal to get it for the win. So there's just things that don't always go in your favor. All right, we've talked a lot about. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, but last point. You want to know what you can control? You want to know what you can control? Being fundamentally sound on defense. You can control that. All those practices you've had throughout the week, you can control that. So you do know that you're going to be at a disadvantage being on the road, being in this type of environment, knowing what you have to deal with as far as the refs and everything like that, which I think is kind of baloney the more and more we talk about it. I'm not going to lie to you. But you can control being fundamentally sound on defense to give yourself a chance. It doesn't guarantee, like I said, it doesn't guarantee that you're going to stop them every single possession. But it does give you a chance to be in the right place at the right time. Because the idea of thinking that you're going to get like 3 turnovers off of the Chiefs today, I'm here to let you know, it ain't happening. It's not happening. So you need to be as fundamentally sound and as you know, as disciplined as you can, because some of the stuff isn't going to go your way. But you need to do the basic fundamentals on defense to give yourself a chance. That's it. It's like you're going against Tom Brady. That's why I'm shocked that everybody's acting like this is brand new. You had to do the exact same thing when you had to go against Tom Brady. If you wanted to have a chance, You had to dial up pressure. You had to make sure you got to Tom Brady a little bit. And you had to make sure you were fundamentally sound on defense. This is copy and paste. It should not be breaking news to anybody. But yet we had to go down this road again because it's Kansas City and this ain't Arrowhead. Guys, please, give me a break.
I can't wait till Thomas comes back in his next life as a football player.
It would be
tell him
completely
he's not
insane.
playing fundamentally sound football. All right, we're going to take a break, and then we're going to go into our intro segment before we get into the NFC.
You are watching Team NBS Media. We are a digital media brand covering sports, entertainment, and lifestyle, with team members all across the country. Through our written content, podcasts, and video content, we bring you fresh and professional content. Interested in joining the team? Shoot us an email or DM. Make sure to like, share.
In 2006, we founded Yeti Coolers with a simple mission: build the cooler we use every day if it existed. One that was built for the serious outdoor enthusiasts rather than for mass discount retailers. One that could take the abuse we knew we'd put it through, out in the field and on the water. One that simply wouldn't break. We decided early on that production innovation would come from necessity and first-hand experience, not from market research and data analysis. Today, Yeti products perform when it matters most. Whether that be an excursion into the remote Alaskan wilderness, chasing redfish on the Gold Coast, or just getting together with friends in the backyard, we make gear that helps you stay out longer, travel farther, and live harder. # built for the wild.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Moving the Chains Championship Conference Weekend. We have one more game to talk about, and of course, it's Thomas's team. But before we roll into that, we want to do a quick chalkboard session where Jeff is going to take the wheel and walk us through the Commanders' positive effort this entire season. So please, Jeff, take it away.
Absolutely. So when you're talking about this game with Commanders and the Eagles, yes, there's a rubber match between these two teams. They split the regular season. But why are the Commanders here? Why have they been successful? It starts on the opposite side of the football. Their offense is allowing their defense to play fast and fluid because they're out there putting a lot of pressure on defenses. How do you do that? You have a young quarterback who's very talented. He was number 2 on my board in the draft last year behind Caleb Williams. The difference between him and Caleb Williams this year, one has a scheme and a coaching staff that understands his strengths and coaches to it. The other one was trying to make him fit into their scheme. So what I'm going to break down to you is how the Commanders are doing it, how they're making Caleb Williams comfortable and allowing him to be effective, and how the play calling of Cliff Kingsbury has not only been great for him, but great overall in setting teams up for disaster. All right, so quickly I'm going to show you the first play on the board, then we're going to go through the film, okay, because it'll set up everything for you. Now, Kingsbury likes to run this air raid scheme, all right? So on the first play you're going to see, he's going to have what we call 12 personnel, 2 tight ends, 1 running back, 2 receivers on the field. But it's how he employs it. A lot of teams will and you'll see it on the other plays where the tight ends are together in a traditional tight end set. In this one, they're not, right? So your 2 tight ends here, all right, are right here, all right? They both look like receivers. If you look at it here, and when you see the film, you're going to see that. Right, so the defense, if you notice, right, is very familiar. 2 tight ends here with the running back and QB. The QB can run. Look how many guys are in the box here. You have 7 guys in the box with a safety walked up. They brought the corner over to match the 2 receivers, so they're in man coverage. This tells you man coverage right off the bat, all right? So what they're doing now is he's going to manipulate the defense pre-snap to help his quarterback out. What he does is he motions his back out wide, which causes the defense now to change, okay? Empty backfield, the only runner now threat is the quarterback, but you have all these pass threats at receiver. So what they're doing now is they're going to be smart. They're going to take their walked-up safety that was to the tight end side, put them back in the 2 shell. So this is 2 safeties deep. You're going to see a lot of either cover 2 zone or cover 2 man. Sometimes they'll hide other coverages in there, but most teams 10-1 when they back into a 2 high safety, it's cover 2. All right, majority of the time. So when they did this, they said, okay, well, you know what? That is a running back out wide. We're not going to bring our corner who went with the other receiver to the top of the screen. We're going to mash it up. So we're going to bring that linebacker out. We're going to bring the other linebacker over, and we're going to bring our nickel back into the middle of the field as a linebacker, and we're going to back him up. And when the quarterback, when Jalen Daniels saw this, he knew I had cover 2 zone. Why? Because they kept both corners over here. They did bring the linebacker over, but they brought this nickel back into the middle. He backs up, and he immediately has eyes to the tight end, which is telling me he's looking in a Tampa 2 look. Tampa 2, these 2 guys are going to split vertical, all right, and take deep halves. And this guy is going to look to identify the middle vertical threat. Now, Kingsbury runs what we call air raid. Air raid and West Coast are very similar. Very similar in the fact that they like to challenge you deep and create things underneath. With West Coast, it was everything's a touchdown or a check down. Well, with air raid, you want to challenge vertical to create space underneath for routes. And that's exactly what they do on this play here. So what they're going to do is they're going to send the back vertical to draw him off. They're going to send him up the seam vertical to draw this linebacker off. And this other tight end is going to settle right underneath. And there's nothing but green grass. So I broke it down for you here to show you, okay, how this play works. Let's see how it works on film. All right. So here's the play right here on film. Okay. Give me 1 second here. All right. So I'm going to break this back a little bit. All right. So, all right. So right there, you saw the motion. You see the defense manipulating. Okay. See the linebacker stepping out, safety's going back. All right.
All right.
So watch the shift. All right. This is what we talked about into that 2 shell. Right. Jaden Daniels sees this. Right. This allows the tight end to work underneath. All right. And that's how they get this completed pass and a first down. Look at the space that it creates. Right. Challenge vertical to create space underneath. Mm-hmm. Right. They have made his pre-snap reads very simple. Okay. And that goes on to other parts of the offense. We always talked about having multiple plays called in the huddle. All right. And going out there and saying with a traditional quarterback, okay, here's your running play, here's your pass play. You're going to call an alert. So a lot of times you're watching the game, you hear a guy calling check this, check, alert, 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 or you hear kill, kill, kill. Right? There's 2 plays called in the huddle. He's checking from the first play to the second play, right? Usually a run or a pass. With spread offense, air raid especially, there is no alert call. Okay, it is a read by the quarterback. Right? So how we like to run zone read, where he's going to read it and pull it or give it. There's also a read on the throw, which is what we call RPO. Okay, so what they've done is allowed him to bring the RPO from college to the pros, where he's comfortable with it, and now he runs it in the base offense. So here you're going to see the same thing. Okay, so he's going to read the pre-snap of the defense. He sees a heavy box, right? Look at the numbers, right? You see the 2 wide receivers up top. The slot receiver has nobody on his head. It's an easy read to pull it and throw it outside, right? Real simple. Make it easy on your quarterback. Help him succeed, all right? We go to the next play. You're going to see that same concept applied now with trips, okay? And this is where it goes big, right? Allow your players to succeed, all right? They're showing them zone at first, but he reads the linebacker, showing blitz. And when they start to send that pressure off the edge, he knows I got an advantage, 3 up top versus 2 defenders, and he just lets it go and lets his guy make a play. And this goes to the house, okay? This is simple air raid schemes that you see at the college level. You're now seeing it at the pro level, and it's allowing quarterbacks that are coming up from the college level to succeed faster because this is stuff that they've run for 2, 3, 4 years at the college level. That is why Washington's offense has advanced so fast. That is why they're out there going to this far in the playoffs, because this offense is seamless with their young quarterback who's ultra talented, and he's able to use his best skill sets out there right now at this current level. So that's what's going to be a challenge for this Eagles defense. Now, the Eagles have the same premises on their offense with Jalen Hurts, but you know what? It's a different animal on the opposite side. It's a bigger, stronger, faster athlete. Well, I'll take the stronger away because Jalen Hurts is very strong, but a bigger athlete, faster athlete on the Washington side. So you're going to have a lot of the same concepts that the Eagles can throw at you, throw them back. I think the X factor for the Eagles is Saquon Barkley. But what Washington's able to do and how they were able to challenge the Eagles this year is because of that right there, the synergy between their quarterback and offensive coordinator and the execution on the field.
Well, I always love a good Jeff breakdown.
That was good.
I know. Thomas loved that too because he's like, man, this is what we
did.
got to go against for the third time.
Yeah. Again, we have to deal with this again. Yes. It was one of those. It was definitely one of those. It wasn't one of those. Yeah, of course. Come on in.
That's how I liked it.
No. I already know this guy's gonna give us hell today. I already know. But yeah, I just can't wait. I can't wait.
All right. So like I asked who you all think is going to go to the Super Bowl. From this side, who do you predict is going to be headed to the Super Bowl? We'll start with Jeff.
Well, it's going to be a very tough game. Listen, beating a team twice in 1 year is hard. I've been part of that. The reason I have a ring on my finger is because we were able to beat a team the third time after we split the regular season. And then I've had it where we've lost to a team in the playoffs that we beat in the regular season. So I understand both sides of this equation. I think the X factor in this game is going to be Saquon Barkley. And that's because Saquon does so much for the Eagles, not only in the running game, but in the passing game, that he allows Jalen Hurts to benefit the same way that we were just talking about Jaden Daniels. Okay, Kellen Moore is a guy that played in the spread in college. He runs a lot of spread concepts with Philadelphia. He tried to do that in Dallas with Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is not the athlete that Jalen Hurts is, but he never had a Saquon Barkley in the backfield. Okay, so that right there is going to be the big X factor for me. I think the Eagles pull this off because of that X factor in Saquon Barkley. He's going to do a lot for this offense playoff time. We've seen it already. He's healthy. Unless he gets hurt in this game, that's going to be the X factor for the Eagles is Saquon Barkley.
Jeff did the whole trio, the impact player, the prediction. So let's just all do it that way. All right. So Greg, who's your impact player? Who's going to the Super Bowl from this matchup?
The Washington Commanders are going to the Super Bowl. Terry McLaurin is going to light up the Eagles secondary today, just as we saw in that one play there where he got the touchdown. Terry McLaurin and Jalen Daniels, who was my number one quarterback in the draft last year, they get the job done because the Washington defense also under Dan Quinn realized in that second half what you had to do to keep Saquon Barkley in check. And if they do that again, it will be Washington versus Buffalo. And just as in January 26, 1992, when the Redskins beat the Buffalo Bills, I have the Rays Hail winning the Super Bowl. That's it.
I think for a rookie season to come out and win the Super Bowl is something
it's never been done.
You've never seen before. Exactly.
I want it to happen because it would be history. It would be history.
All right. I'll ask Thomas after he recovers from that.
He's down. He's shattered.
He's too emotionally tied.
He's shattered.
I agree with Jeff. I'm going to say Saquon Barkley is the impact player. He is the difference maker. He is truly his own, like, 4 different players that can take over on an offense like the Eagles have. And I think that is what is their strong suit. We've seen him ball out last week against the Rams. And I do think that the problem for the Commanders, which is getting better, is protecting those gaps that make Saquon so successful. If Saquon just sees this much of a gap, he's gonna bolt through and get 15 yards, maybe even 40 yards, leads to a touchdown. And those are the moments that just carry this Eagles offense time in and time again. Even if Jalen is injured, like, he's heavily going to rely on Saquon. And I mean, that's what he wanted to do. Saquon said, I want to be in playoff football, and he got what he wanted. And I know that he is not going to play this game lightheartedly, and he is going to carry the Eagles literally into the Super Bowl. So
put up Joe's message there. Put up Joe. See, I'm representing Joe Cardozo today, folks. And I am solid behind Ray's Hale. I want to see the rookie quarterback win the whole thing. I don't care about Saquon or the Eagles defense. I want to see Jaden Daniels win the Super Bowl. That's why I'm going with the Washington Commanders today.
All right, Thomas, who's your impact player? Obviously, you're going to predict the Eagles to go to the Super Bowl. So who's your impact player?
Greg, I got a lot of love and admiration for you. Really do. You would make a great politician after what you just said. You would win a lot of votes. You got this Washington Commanders team. See, it's one thing to say that they're going to end up in the Super Bowl. To say that they're going to end up winning the whole thing, you might have just won some votes for your campaign, sir. You might have outdid yourself.
Well, this is the thing that I believe in. So, and when you believe something, you say that you believe it, and it happens. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
Okay. So I wanna give a little breakdown because I did take my notes here.
Hit it.
On this game. I remember you bringing up Saquon Barkley and how they quote unquote shut him down per se or limited him. I would like to remind you that in the two games between the Washington Commanders and the Philadelphia Eagles, the same Saquon Barkley has had 145 plus rushing yards in both of those games. It's happened. It's in the box score. It has happened. It is a thing.
In the second game, they held Saquon to 27 yards in the second half. That's what I'm talking about. That was the defense that I'm speaking of, to slow Saquon down, and they did in the second half of that game because they held him to 27 yards. That's the defense I'm talking about. And Dan Quinn understood what his team had to do to stop Saquon in that second half, and that's what they did.
Okay. Now, I'm glad you brought that up because with this being a playoff setting, especially in an NFC championship game, or any championship game for that matter, you cannot afford to wait until the second half to figure out how to stop the other team's best player. You cannot afford to do that. So if you want to keep them in check, you might want to do it at play number 1 instead of play 14, because by the time you get to play 14, it may be too little too late. Okay? Just wanted to put that out there. And what doesn't work in Washington's favor on defense is that they do allow 4.9 yards per carry, which is tied for 30th in the entire NFL. So them against the run is a little suspect, and I'm being very nice in saying that. And you might say, oh, well, they did a pretty good job in the running game against Detroit. Jahmyr Gibbs still had 100 yards against them. That still happened. So you have an issue with that. Now, with the Washington offense, I don't think it needs to get any more detailed than this. You put up 45 points. You went 3 for 4 on fourth down. Very impressive. Jaden Daniels has had a spectacular postseason. 4 touchdowns, 567 yards so far. It's insane what they've been able to do. Can't take that away from him whatsoever. We can also add the fact that they did have 5 turnovers as a defense last week. Now, granted,
that was crazy.
That was kind of insane because they don't usually do that.
That's what we're saying.
But they did have 5 turnovers last week. I'm giving as much flowers as I possibly can, so that way I don't have a whole lot of people coming at me like I'm biased here. Y'all had a running game that was very effective against Detroit. Brian Robinson had 77 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did very, very well in the running game. But I think that's kind of where the dust settles. Because when it comes to us, the thing that you do have working in y'all favor is that we just came off of a game where an offensive line felt like it was a great idea to allow not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, but 7 sacks to the Rams last week. So y'all might be able to have to deal with a turnstile effect when it comes to our offensive line today. But you have that. Then you also have the fact that Jalen Hurts has not thrown over 180 yards passing in 6 of the last 7 games. That is the thing. That does all these things I've just mentioned works in your favor. I will remind you that my impact player goes without saying. He was dominant last week. I think he's going to be dominant again. Jalen Carter led the Eagles defense last week in getting 5 sacks. I think Jalen Carter is going to be just as dangerous this week with an offensive line that is beat up with them not having Sam Cosmi. So if we're looking at a dominant performance, look for Jalen Carter. Saquon Barkley is going to do his thing. I obviously am not going to go against my home team. I have the Eagles winning this game, but it will be close. And I think it might be one of those cases where the talent prevails and we have the Eagles and Chiefs in the Super Bowl. A rematch of 2022 all over again.
You don't want that, though, because then you might lose again.
Exactly.
Why would you want that?
Just go away this week. Just go away this week, and you let the Commanders win the whole thing, like I've said, and it's over and done with. Then
I just would not want to face the Chiefs again in a Super Bowl. That's like something I would not. You got to take down the best to be the best. I understand.
Yes.
But let Josh Allen do that for you. Let Josh Allen.
I'm just in awe of Greg really pushing for the Commanders. There's so much in Cowboys Nation right now that's rooting for any AFC team right now because they know no matter what, there's going to be an NFC rival, East rival in the Super Bowl. So to hear Greg go Commanders, I know there's a lot of Cowboys Nation throwing stuff at the screen right now.
Look, as far as the rematch is concerned, I just think that there's a lot of different characters in this video game this time around. Last time we played them, we had James Bradbury that we had as a corner. Was not proud of that. We ended up getting exploited and beaten up because of it. We didn't have better linebacker play when we last played them. I think the way Zach Bond has led that linebacking core has been very impressive. And that's even with them being without Nakobe Dean the rest of the way. The list goes on and on. The Saquon Barkley is a guy that didn't play in that game. So there's a lot of new characters that would be in play for the rematch. So it wouldn't go exactly as Exhibit A. It might go a little bit different. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. So my other reason for going for the Washington Commanders is because they got rid of Daniel Snyder, who sucked as an owner. Mm-hmm. And again, this would be another valuable lesson for the guy in Dallas to get out of the football field completely and just be the owner of the team the way that you should be. Don't do the draft thing. Don't do any of this other nonsense, Jerry. You don't need all this nonsense. And that's the other reason why I want the Commanders to take this whole thing.
To prove a point to the NFC East.
No, it's to prove a point that Jerry Jones.
Just Jerry Jones in Dallas.
He don't care about nobody else, just Jerry Jones himself. An 80-year-old man who's already a billionaire, could mess around and be a trillionaire if he felt like it.
Exactly.
He's being forced by a fan base to change his ways. You're asking a billionaire who could be a trillionaire to change his ways and to give up his position? Please. That's why I should have known that was the ultimate game plan. It had nothing to do with the Eagles and Commanders playing. It had nothing to do with the players involved. It had everything to do with your mischievous plan to get Jerry Jones out of office like he is a president or something. It is hilarious. I should have known, Greg. I should have known all along.
I mean,
you should have realized this. I am the Cowboys guy here.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it took scandal to get Daniel Snyder out of there to the point where 31 of those like we can't take this anymore. Right now, they're just fine with having Jerry where he is. So I don't think he's going.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Nightmare.
It was his
absolute
ultimate plan
nightmare.
all along. He didn't care about this damn game.
He's
No,
not
I don't
your-
care.
he's not your biggest
I don't
problem
care
in
about the
Dallas.
NFC teams. They're both NFC East teams. I don't care about either one of them. Where's Tampa Bay and the Rams? Where are they? They should be playing each other.
No,
They
No.
weren't good enough to get
they were
there.
not good
That's
enough.
what happened.
Oh.
You know, you're not good enough to get there. You end up watching.
Yeah.
Yep.
All
Join
right,
the rest of us.
my closing question is over under 4. How many fourth downs do you think the Commanders are going to go for?
Oh, you said 4
Yeah,
that they convert on, or they just
Go for it.
just
go for
attempt? They just go for it. So they
Yeah.
don't get it. They just go for it.
I mean, we'd all be happy if they got it, but
Okay.
I will be happy if they
yeah,
do.
I will be too. I just want to say, if the Commanders win, I would be happy, but I'm picking the Eagles in the sense of selection.
Right.
All right,
Ooh.
Jeff's hitting the under.
Yeah, I got him going. I've got him going 3 times.
Thomas.
Going for it. I'm taking the over.
Yeah,
It feels
me
like I'm watching people play Madden. I'm not even gonna lie. It's kind
I'm
of
hitting
fun.
the over. Yeah.
Like, go for it.
Yeah.
Go for it. It's 4th and 15. We don't care.
Yeah.
Like, that's just how they play.
I'll take the over on this as well.
Yeah.
I'll take the over.
Okay.
Yeah,
Now,
I
if you had
think
told
this
me
will
that
make
they were going to
sense.
complete it, that's something totally different.
Oh,
don't
yeah. Well, I'm not a predictor. I'm just trying to make the game more fun.
Well done, Ashmere.
Okay? I'm just trying to keep it alive because
Yeah, you-
I
you-
feel like
as a
that's
coach-
what changes it.
As a coach, you don't go for it way too many times. Ask Dan Campbell, right? You know, you just don't go for it way too many times. You go for it when you have to. Know your team, know the
Yeah.
situation, and go for it when you have to. You just
I think
don't
4
do it
is a
just-
good number. That's why I picked
Yeah.
4.
It
Yeah.
is. I mean, they did it last week.
Yeah.
And even in all those cases where they went for it last week, it was 4th and 3, 4th and 2, 4th and 1. So it wasn't like they were being completely overzealous with their situational awareness here. They were going for it when it made sense and it called for it. And I mean, that's why I give a lot of credit to them, because they're not just, going for it whenever they feel like it. They're not doing it in inhumane situations. It's not like I was joking about 4th and 15, but they don't go for it in situations like that. If it's close enough to where they feel like they have a chance, they're going to do it. And,
Fourth and
I
12 in the
appreciate
fourth
that.
quarter, the punter's going to throw a pass, and that's going to be it. The Commanders are going to take over from there. That's it. It's over and done with. 4th and 12.
Run that back. Say it
Fourth
again.
and
They're
12,
doing what with the
12.
punter?
4th and 12. The punter for the Commanders is going to throw a ball.
Oh, see?
See, I
Greg's
don't
also
care.
on a
playing
big
Madden
play.
in this game.
That's
See?
right. If
See
I'm
what I
going
mean?
Madden, I've got to give a fake punt.
Yeah, so I'll definitely take the over on that one.
All right, everyone. As always, this has been a very fun game. Talking about the games, of course. Fun show talking about the games. I'm sad that this is the last time we're talking about 4 till next season, but of course, we've got tons of draft content coming from Jeff and Greg. Looking forward to that and our draft show rolling into the off season, if there is one. Jeff would say no.
No.
No off season for me, but for everybody else, yes.
No off season for you two.
You guys are off. Jeff and I will be continuing to work at this draft thing. And free agency, of course, begins everything off after the regular season, before the draft. And again, who knows who's going to end up where.
Yes. Shameless plug. Draft Central Wednesday nights, 9:15 p.m. Eastern, 8:15 Central. This week, Senior Bowl kicks off. East-West Shrine is already kicked off, so we have reports on all of that. We'll be talking the center position. Maybe even try and get a prospect on this week. We have some already booked, so they'll be coming through every Wednesday night till after the draft, 9:15 Eastern, Draft Central. You'll start seeing mock drafts in March. We're not the kind of guys that do them early. I just don't like throwing mashed potatoes against the wall and hoping it sticks. I like my mock drafts to actually make sense. So, therefore, we don't do ours until March, but you get a lot of draft content with us in Draft Central.
Love it. Cannot wait. Have a great Sunday, everyone. Again, thank you for tuning in to Team NBS Media. Make sure to like, subscribe, follow all the things that we say week in and week out. Appreciate your support here, and we will see you for our Super Bowl show and probably leading up to that. So have a great Sunday, and we'll see you.